Hi, I'm Sean McMullen of Children's Theater of Long Beach. And if you want to learn more about our company and what's coming up this fall, tune in and listen to this conversation.
Tell us about this year's fall theater offerings for the Long Beach and SoCal theater community.
Sure. So what we've got going on, our after-school programs continue this fall with A Year with Frog and Toad, which is a delightful musical version, Tony Award-winning musical version of Arnold Lobel's beloved children's books about the friendship between Frog and Toad. And it's a beautiful story because it really is about how to get along with people who are diametrically opposed in many aspects of life. The Frog and Toad couldn't be less similar in their beliefs and their emotions, yet they are the best of friends. And so it's a wonderful, wonderful piece to do with elementary school kids. Then our weekender program is about to do a parody version of Mamma Mia that we have written called ABBA MIA. And that sort of came about because we were turned down for the rights for Mamma Mia multiple times due to either a tour, it being produced at a larger venue near us, and now because it was opening on Broadway. So can't shut down a parody. So I just couldn't put it off. The kids just want to do that music so bad. So here we are. It's all jokes. Every single lyric has been rewritten. It's all very Weird Al Yankovic meets ABBA. But with some heart. It's not all slapstick humor. The plot actually has, I think anybody who comes to see it will, and if they like ABBA and they know anything about ABBA, they'll really be touched by it because it sort of strangely follows the real story behind the breakup of ABBA and sort of what happened in the divorces and all of those things, kind of paralleling the plot of Mamma Mia. So that's coming up in November. And then in October, actually, before that, I've kind of talked out of order. Before that, our ARC team, the self-producing team, they are putting together a production of Addams Family, the musical, which is, of course, a musical version of Chaz Adams' beloved sketches in the New Yorker magazine. And it's wonderful music. It's gotten very popular to be produced all over the place in high schools and Playhouse. The Playhouse just did it last summer, but it's really very close to. If you love the television series, you'll recognize them from that, as opposed to sort of the Angelica Houston movie. It's a lot lighter and brighter, especially a lot lighter and brighter than Wednesday. So it's great for the whole family. You can bring small children. It's not grotesque in any way. It's just ooky spooky, fun, silly stuff, singing, dancing ghosts and the like. So it's delightful. And that goes off mid-October, October 9th, 10th, actually early October, 9th, 10th, and 11th, I believe. So that's sort of our fall. We will be starting a project if people are interested in auditioning. For the family stage, we will be doing a version of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which will audition in December. So look for that on the website if you're interested in being in theater, and you can be any age. All the information will be on our website soon. Probably mid-September, we'll have the registration information up for that. So that's us for the fall and early winter.
Tell us about the uniqueness of Frog and Toad, because I understand each scene is a little different, or at least
yes. So every scene in Frog and Toad is performed by a different Frog and Toad. We at Children's Theater of Long Beach love puppetry. One of our board members is she trained with the Muppets, the Henson Muppeteers, and another renowned marionettist at the O'Neill Puppetry Conference for several years running. And so we've brought puppetry into our theater work. So Frog and Toad are portrayed by 3/4 size bunraku puppets that are almost as big as the kids. They hit right under the kids' chin. So you can still see the actor's performance, the puppeteer's performance, but then you have the double performance, as it's called, of the puppet down here, which allows us to then cast, I think we have 18 songs in the show or something like that. So there's 18 frogs and 18 toads as many as. So we could have a different child per scene. I think it's been rolling out to between 4 and 5 sets of frogs and toads. So at one school we had 10 frogs and 5 frogs and 5 toads. And at another school we had 4 frogs and 4 toads. And so what they do is there's 2 sets of puppets, and they just trade out the puppets as they go back and forth between the scenes. Or if we just have 2 and 2, then if we just have 4, they just stay in their puppets. But that's kind of the cool thing is it's easy for the audience to track the characters because they're following the puppets, but also our actors are not hidden inside the puppets and give their own unique performances and add the emotional quality to the static puppet face because they're right there above it. Much like if anybody has seen The Lion King, the Timon and Pumbaa puppets, they're very similar to those puppets.
I didn't see on the website. Do you also do like small showcases, or is that not what you do?
From time to time, yes. It's not. It used to be. We used to have a cabaret series ages ago. We don't have. We had a person who was down here in Southern California who was heading that team up, and they're not here. So we sort of phased that out during the pandemic because they moved away. But we're hoping they move back and can head that up and start it back up again. Or if somebody else steps forward and is interested in doing that. It looks like we're going to be doing actually a collaboration with a good friend of mine from many years ago who is a poet and now a published poet and is doing a book signing tour. And so we're looking to do a collaborative event where he's going to read portions of his book, and maybe some of our students are going to either write music using his poems as lyrics, or have his poem read while they do a dance to it, or so it'll be or they'll come and read their own poetry, or their own short stories or scenes. It's kind of like sort of like The Moth, but add dance and singing. So that's going to be fun.
For all those productions, what do you want the audience to get out of the theater performances?
Joy. I really just want them to go away joyful and reinvigorated that this coming generation is wonderful, and that it's going to be okay. Ultimately, children's theater, and I think theater in general, not only as a place where we come and we question and we tackle the hard problems, but children's theater specifically, I think, is a place to be rejuvenated, to come and see young people striving for their futures and telling stories of people far older than them in many cases, and grappling with what their future looks like, and smiling while they do. And I think it always fills me up, and I come away feeling better about the world and the way things are going to be after every rehearsal. So that's what I hope our audiences feel.
Why must or should the viewers or the theater community attend these productions?
Well, because kids need your support, ultimately. You should come because it's just good theater, first of all. On the other side of that, there's a huge educational component to that, and supporting educational theater ensures that educational theater continues, right? That if I don't get a grant, if you're there in the house, you become that grant, because there's Money Minute, where we do a direct appeal for our scholarship programs, and we've been able to keep our scholarship programs flush. So we've never had to worry about, will a kid be able to be in our programs? We have your scholarships that you help us provide for those kids. And so that's why. Come and support it, because it's an important thing for kids to be in, and you help ensure that will continue.
What would you tell Long Beach and SoCal children and families why they should get involved with the Children's Theater of Long Beach programs?
Because not only is it good, solid training in acting, singing, and dancing, you're going to get legit stuff. All of us have degrees. So we've all come to it very, not only legitimately, where we've all been professionals before, but we got those professional gigs because we all did it academically. So everybody that we employ has a degree in either music, dance, or theater. and on the other side of that is not just is it a theater training program, but we have the psychological mindfulness component as well. That is, again, not taught by acting teachers, but taught by actual licensed therapists. We have many on the board. I think we have three currently on the four. We have four on the board. So, and those four therapists show up at rehearsal and lead the kids in mindfulness and social emotional learning exercises at the same time that we're warming up their voices and we're warming up their bodies for dance and doing acting warm-up exercises. They get to do those as well so that they come in the right mental space.
When did you create Children's Theater of Long Beach? Why did you need to create the theater? Why is this nonprofit such a passion for you, for your family, and the local community?
So it's why, when, and why is it my passion? Is that correct? Did I get that right? Okay. Well, I'll maybe out of order here. When I did it was 2013, but really it started before that as a project for the PTA for an elementary school that my daughter was attending. That's where it started. And then other parents from other schools would come and see that school's production and say, can you do it over here? Can you do it over there? And we'd say, well, not really. We're just part of the PTA. Until a few of us on the PTA said, you know what? Why don't we start a nonprofit? So the when was 2013. The why was because other parents at other schools were reaching out and saying, we'd like a program like this. Could you come over to our school and do that? So that's the why. And the reason I'm passionate about it is for the same reason that I started the program and signed my name to, you know, a little clipboard was going around at the first PTA meeting when Becky and I, my wife and I were there because Hannah was going to be a kindergartner. And it was all the volunteer stuff that the PTA does. And there was all of these, you know, lines that were already filled in, people taking care of the soccer club and people taking care of the after school reading club. And the slots that were empty were the theater club. So we signed up for that thinking this is where our daughter will fit in. She's going to need something like this. And clearly there's other kids here that they're thinking that might need it. And it turned out that at some point, about halfway through my tenure at that school, we wound up with half the school in the program. So we had 250 children in the after school program at that school at one point.
Very cool. Tell us more about the Children's Theater of Long Beach vision, mission, and values.
They're all tied up together, but our vision is to bring children's theater to after-school programs to every elementary school in Long Beach that wants one, regardless of whether or not that school or those parents can afford the fees. And that's why we seek out grants and offer scholarships. We've done fully free programs before. So that's our mission, is to make sure that the arts and theater arts go into as many elementary schools and junior highs as possible. Our values are that we're not only here to teach kids how to act, sing, dance, but we're here to teach them how to be better human beings to themselves and to society. And so we have a huge mindfulness component. Call it what you will, social emotional learning. It's really a way to look at your own emotions, because a lot of kids get taught some pretty advanced techniques by other groups and by us as well. A lot of them are, you know, there's two ways to approach a character: inside out and outside in. And if you're going inside out, you're doing things like sense memory work. And sometimes it's sad sense memory work. And you have to go back and think about unfortunate things that have happened to you, because that's what's happening to your character on stage. And the mindfulness and the SEL work that we do with the kids helps them not only deal with what they have to go through as an actor, but they can use it throughout their life for the rest of their life to be in touch with their own emotions and how to communicate with other people. So it's a lot about active listening and really being connected to other people, because those are life skills, not just skills that we use on stage. So bringing theater and theater arts to every school, and then making better people.
About all the programs that your theater offers. Just tell us all both the school part in the schools and also the theater productions you offer.
Right. So we have the after school programs, which are dedicated to the schools and only available to the kids in that school. And then we have a program called the Weekender program that is open to anyone in the district or out of the district. Those are obviously on the weekends. They rehearse both Saturday and Sunday. And then we have something called our family stage, which rehearses during the week in the evenings, but it's open to anybody ages 7 to 700. And we just did a project this summer with our family stage. We do it every summer. And then we also have sort of an offshoot, kind of like Touchstone was an offshoot of Disney back in the day. And that's for adults and teens primarily. We have at times included younger people. We're doing that right now with one of our projects, but not for the leads. There are younger kids under the age of 12 are only allowed to be ensemble in those productions. It's called ARC, Artist Repertory Collective, and it's a self-producing entity. So everybody there comes up with the budget and then shares the profits at the end, because they then pay a portion of the producing fees. It's not like a fee to be in it, because they're kind of the people that have gone past learning how to act, sing, dance, and now are interested in learning how to be a producer, a director, a prop designer, a costume designer, a set designer. And they have sort of those skills and they would like to use them and maybe make a little bit of money doing it. So it's a semi-professional component of our company.
What is your process in creating a production, one of those two productions? How do you bring everybody together to actually do those two different types of production?
We sort of have a core team that works across all of the different fields, and they oversee other volunteers. So then we get volunteers typically specific to each production. We have a wonderful parent group, our PSST, who support the Weekenders and the after school program, and sometimes ARC. They come in and they help support all of the front of house things. So concessions, ushering, box office, meals, craft service. They take care of all of that front of house stuff. And then the backstage tech stuff is through our sort of in-house team. And then sometimes we will hire in or bring in volunteers, a lot of student volunteers, high school volunteers. We also who get hours. So if they need like volunteer hours, they can come to us and we can be their volunteer hours for running Spotlight or making costumes or whatever it is that they're interested in volunteering for.
What would you tell other professional performers, actors, playwrights, and directors why they should get involved and volunteer with your theater?
I think because of that. I think because of the well-roundedness of our theater, and because we really are here to, again, try and make better people and uplift kids and help them achieve their goals. And so if you want to be part of a theater company that is reaching into a child's life beyond the stage, and beyond just the standard stuff that you take away from theater, which is self-esteem, which any theater experience is going to do, baseline. But if you really want to reach into helping a kid set their life goals, come join us.
I think you covered this over all your answers, but tell me again why your theater is such a unique children's theater.
Sure. Well, we started, again, out of the need of a place for theater kids to be, first of all. And that's ultimately all children's theaters are that. But because we began as a nonprofit, as opposed to a for-profit theater company, which some of the children's theaters are just for-profit companies, When we were really looking at the makeup of our board, we looked around and realized, we've got teachers and therapists and doctors, and we wanted to go deeper than just theater and musical theater training. And we wanted to look at how theater affects the life of a child. And so one of our board members, her thesis was on what children's theater does for children. And she noticed all the connectivity between mindfulness and the child psychology portion of it. And then on the other side of that, the academics were looking at how to create a character, you're always setting goals and looking at the tactics to reach those goals and identifying within a script all of the hurdles or the obstacles that character has to get around, and realize that is beneficial for academic planning, life planning. Like, where do you want to go to school? How are you going to get to that school, right? What are the tactics you're going to take while you're in school to get that application to that school and have them see you, right? And then once you're in that school, how are you going to get the job that you want next, right? So if we teach you how to set goals, create tactics to achieve those goals, we're not only teaching you how to act, right? Because that's acting technique. We're teaching you how to human, essentially. So our everything that we do really attaches itself to the whole child and the experience of growing and trying to make not just good actors, singers, and dancers, but just good citizens, good people that you would trust and want to be around in society, and the next generation that we can entrust, our country to. So not to be too patriotic, but like, I'm sort of patriotic.
This next question I always ask is, as you know, the theater cost of paying for a ticket doesn't cover the play or all the programs. So why are theaters like the Children's Theater of Long Beach so important and needs the community's help and support, not only by going to the theater, but also supporting it with donations?
Right, because as you're familiar with, I think most people are familiar with children's theater, there's a kind of a pay-for-play component to it, right? There's, it's a fee because it's typically framed as an academy or a school. Kids are taking classes, right, to learn how to do something. So it's tuition, essentially. But that tuition, we certainly don't set that tuition anywhere even close as high as the next lowest tuition at a children's theater in Long Beach. So that doesn't fund us entirely. And then, of course, our ticket sales, we want to make sure everyone can attend. So we don't price our tickets as high as many of the other children's theaters or theaters in general. So again, that doesn't entirely fund us. But what does fund us are grants and those donations. So private individual donations, people who come in and underwrite certain portions of a show. So, if you are looking for something to invest in, this is it, because you're investing not just in frivolity and fun, you're investing in a child's future, because we're not just teaching how to, do a high kick and sing a high C. We're teaching a kid how to get to their dreams.
And talk about fundraiser. Tell us about your fun annual fundraiser that you have yearly that's always enjoyable and helps a lot with your theater.
That is so sweet. Well, we often have a gala. We skipped it this year, but we're looking at doing it again in 2026. And it's a lot of fun. It's an evening of, you get to see performances from the kids from across the year from all of the different shows. We announce what the upcoming shows are. There's a wonderful silent auction, all of those things. We're looking to sort of switch that up, and we may actually be doing that event as a show. We're sort of looking at, and you guys are going to be the first to hear about this, but there might be a celebration of Dick Van Dyke's 100th birthday that we're going to be involved in, and which is part of another theater company, and us, and then our ARC subset. So it would be ARC, Children's Theater of Long Beach, and I can't announce them yet, but another school that's doing another musical that Dick was part of. And so we would be doing this Chitty Chitty Bang Bang as was a Dick Van Dyke vehicle. Mary Poppins, their show is a Dick Van Dyke vehicle. And then ARC is looking at either, they're currently debating and voting on whether or not they want to do 3 episodes of the Dick Van Dyke Show as a play, or if they want to do Bye Bye Birdie. And so we would sell it as a mini season as a fundraiser. And then the Bye Bye Birdie would be a dinner and a show. So it would be dinner theater and a silent auction, and kind of the finale of the celebration of Dick's 100th birthday. So that's going to be fun, a lot of fun.
And one question I haven't asked you yet: where do these theater productions happen? Is it a permanent location, or is it rotating?
Oh yeah. Well, we've been all over. We are kind of an itinerant. We don't own our own space, but we partner primarily with the Scottish Rite Event Center, and 99% of our performances take place in the historic Ernest Borgnine Theater that is in that building. It is the last of its kind here in Long Beach. It was built in 1926, so next year is its 100th birthday. So that final show is not only sort of a celebration of Dick Van Dyke's 100th, but it will also be the Ernest Borgnine's 100th birthday. And it's beautiful. It looks like an old Broadway house because it was designed by the same designers that were designing vaudeville houses all over America. The backdrops that are there are also historic, many of them over 100 years old, actually, because they were brought in from other locations that had closed down when that was the new facility. So they brought the old drops from the 1890s into the new theater. And they're about to be restored this October. There is a grant that the Ernest Borgnine Theater acquired to bring in a specialist, and they're going to be training scenic artists to restore all of the historic drops and bring them back to, some of them are not usable currently. So every drop, there's over 100 drops, will all be usable by people who rent that house. So we're in there and we rent the house, partner with them, and it's also available for other rentals. It is, as I say, it is the de facto Long Beach Civic Auditorium. It is the one place where community groups, if you have a dance company, if you have an ethnic festival of some kind, that they rent the ballroom, they rent the stage, they rent the parking lot and have huge festivals. And it's a wonderful, wonderful place. So if you're curious at all about what a vaudeville stage used to look like, come and see our show. And you will see one that's perfectly preserved.
Is there anything else you want to mention about the theater? Oh, I do have one question. Sorry.
Sure.
Talking about family, your daughter is not only an actor, but she also is involved with the theater. Tell me about your how proud and just how you enjoy seeing your daughter being a fellow actor and just enjoying the whole theater.
It's been a delight. I mean, it feels a bit like parents must have felt 100 years ago. I don't, back in the day, it was McMullen and son, right? And that would be hanging out front, and you just pass the business on to your kid. And so I dreamed that when we were starting this and she was still in junior high, that she would want to be part of it. And the dream came true, and she got to sit on the board. And she is one of our after-school program teachers, one of our frequent costume designers. And it's been just a joy to have it be McMullen and daughter. She's a great person, so it's delightful to hang out with her. She's an incredible human being to hang out with, and so I couldn't be prouder of all the work she's done for the company, and it's just been delightful to work alongside of her and watch her grow into her powers. And last year, She got married right after our summer program to the beautiful Susan Alexander, who is now Susan Alexander McMullen. So it's McMullen, 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 McMullen. Is that five McMullens? That McMullen. I'm Sean McMullen of Children's Theater of Long Beach, the founder and CEO. And our fall productions that we would love you to come see are A Year with Frog and Toad. And those are our after-school programs. Then we will have our ARC, Artist Repertory Collective, performing the Addams Family musical in October. And then in November, our very own original parody of Mamma Mia called ABBA MIA. Come see that. It's going to be really funny. And I promise, it's Weird Al Yankovic meets ABBA with a heart. So we really hope to see you all there. Come support children's theater and make sure that it keeps going, because it's really, really important. And this has been wonderful.